3 whole years after the previously created and very successful Egg Hunt 2019, the controversial, massively delayed, and extremely hyped Egg Hunt 2022 It's About Time event was released. After, of course, many teasers and delays throughout the years. In this retrospective that I simply couldn't wait 2 years to make, I go over my first time gameplay from the 5 worlds. We also get into the technical stuff and ratings afterwards. There are chapters on this video, so if you want to skip to any part, any world, or the end where the ratings are done, you may. If you're here to watch the entire video, make sure you get some popcorn, turn off the lights, and get ready because this is going to be a long one. Anyway, let's start off with the worlds. I joined basically the minute the Egg Hunt released, so I was expecting some trouble loading in or maybe authenticating, and to my surprise I did not. However, when I joined, I had to wait a minute or two for the egg data to load. Since I wanted the full experience with everything perfect, I kind of waited a bit for the egg data to load, then I began my Egg Hunt journey. As for my first impressions, I thought the map so far looked amazing. When my egg data loaded and I stopped being naked, I got a welcome message. Welcome to Scrambled Isles. On the ship, there was an NPC named Scally the Pirate, so I spoke to him.
Arr! I hear there be treasure on this here island, but it sure is hard to find.
Why do you say that?
Matey, we've been here for weeks and only found a wee stash of gold.
Oh, I'm sure you'll find more, just keep searching.
That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh, a little rude, but I mean, hey, he's a pirate, you can't expect much niceness from those guys, or something, I don't know. Anyway, he was right. That was what I was supposed to be doing, so that's exactly what I did. After I looked around the little town here because they looked really cool. I went up to the mountain and somebody was here. It was another pirate who was purple named Seaboots the Pirate. They looked like they were about to throw up, so I spoke to them.
Aye, matey, I have a job for ye.
Oh yeah, tell me more.
I need you to help me to load the 8 cannons in the ship. You will be on a timer. What do you think?
Sure.
Good luck, matey. Come back to me for more cannonballs.
And so, my first quest began. I didn't really expect it because I just wanted to speak to some of the locals on the island, but just like that, I had to load cannonballs in the 8 cannons inside of the ship that I previously saw while exploring. So, that's exactly what I began doing. Unfortunately, I am very stupid and completely forgot that I could click shift to run, so I failed my first run while trying to do this. My second one is when I realized that I was supposed to run, and I succeeded, barely. I found that your walk speed is still very slow when you try to run while holding a cannonball, so I developed a little trick for myself. Put the cannonball in, run back to Captain Seaboots, then slowly transport the cannonball to the cannon. This plan was genius, and it was exactly all I needed to do in order for Seaboots to reward me by giving me my first egg in the entire hunt, the cannon egg. I was now 6 eggs away from finishing my first ever world. So after completing Seaboots' quest, I wandered around looking for my next. And not too long after I began wandering, I found another entity that I could speak to. This entity being the giant Venus flytrap. Despite feeling threatened, we spoke.
Hey there, friend. Do not worry. I will not bite. Can you help me out?
Oh yeah, of course. What do you need?
There is not much food left around here, but there is lots of worms roaming around the island. Could you collect 7 for me to eat?
Oh, I'll find them right now.
Thank you, friend. I will have a reward waiting.
And just like that, I was tasked to find 7 worms on this massive island. Anyway, I pretty much already knew what the worms looked like, as earlier I was kind of taking notes on them. I honestly thought they were small twigs because most of them were by trees, but obviously they were not. I jumped down a little area where the giant Venus flytrap resided and already found 1, so 6 more were to go. I almost instantly found another, so 5. Oh, won't you look at that, now I need 4. I then stumbled on the beach and got a free pine egg pull. I don't know. I was pretty much excited because I live in Hawaii and, you know, pineapples, Hawaii, yeah. I then went on the mountain and zoomed out to see this lava-rocked egg. I mean, it's a free egg, how could I resist? So I went inside of the volcano structure I was in. All I had to do was complete a very simple... Take 2. I went to the volcano because I suck, and I somehow died on one of the easiest obbies you will ever see. It was a super intense obby, however, where I jumped probably like 10 whole times. Pretty insane stuff. I don't even know how anyone could fail this obby once like I did, let alone twice. Take 3. I finally completed one of the easiest obbies after just somehow failing 2 whole times. You know, I don't even have an excuse for that. I'm just bad, I guess. Anyway, I jumped down after getting the molten egg and spoke to another pirate. His name was Richie.
Arg, it seems like I lost my parrot. I wish someone could help me.
Oh, I could help you find your parrot.
Thank you, matey. My parrot flew off somewhere on the map. I need you to find it and bring it back here. Think you can handle that?
I am ready.
Off ye go. Make sure to catch it quick. I wouldn't want it flying off.
Just like that, I added a new quest to my belt, which was to find a parrot for Mr. Richie here. I decided I was going to do that later though because I really wanted to see what this massive spooky castle across this bridge was about. So I braved up and I crossed it. I looked around the little island it led to. At the entrance, a pirate who must have been expecting my arrival was waiting for me.
Hey, matey, careful in the building. Visitors do not make it out often.
What is in there?
Nobody knows for sure. An opportunity to lots of loot, we believe.
Yeah, that sounds like something I will have to check out right now.
Arr, careful in there, scallywag.
Nobody knows, whatever. I want me some loot, so I entered the castle. Already, it was kind of confusing because there was an invisible wall. This invisible wall, however, turned out to be an invisible maze. Very clever. So I just ran forward and pretty much easily found my way to the staircase. Up the stairs were 2 different rooms with 2 different obbies. I chose the one that I thought was easier and walked to the next room after completing it, and I fell through the floor. Well, that's just great. This ended up being a blessing disguised as a curse, however, as when I respawned and walked up the steep hill, Richie's parrot was waiting for me. He was just chilling, you know? He's a pretty chunky parrot, not to mention he's literally bright red, so I don't really get how Richie didn't see him. These darn lazy pirates. Anyway, I picked up the parrot by its back feathers and bring him back to Richie.
You brought back me parrot. Thank you so much. Here be a prize as thanks.
I guess Richie was so pleased with me finding his parrot that he just decided to straight up give me his parrot. I mean, I won't complain, that just means I'm 1 egg closer to completing this amazing world. Anyway, I headed back to the castle, redid the invisible maze, this time with 2 other accomplices, and told myself there was no messing up this time. So I just stepped on 1 brick and jumped over to the key. Yes, the key. It told me to go back to the pirate ship to use it, so that's exactly what I did. I ran past the bridge, and I ran back to the pirate ship out of excitement, jumping over the mountains, and that proved to be a bad idea because I literally jumped in a very small spot that caused me to get stuck. I literally couldn't move or jump. I was just soft locked in this very small spot, and it forced me to rejoin. So I rejoined, and for the 3rd time, I went to the castle, did the invisible maze, did the obby, got the key, ran back to the ship without getting trapped in a spot that made it impossible to progress through the game. I returned to the ship and I had literally no idea where I was supposed to use the key. Now, in retrospect, where I had to place the key should have been very obvious. I mean, in the beginning I went through the doors, so I knew damn well I was able to do that, but there I was, wandering around the ship like an idiot, not knowing what I was supposed to do with this key. Honestly, like, super embarrassing. I mean, I literally spoke to the NPC twice, thinking I was supposed to give it to him. Man, I am dumb. But in classic SirStephen fashion, I decided to just do something else instead of solving my problems. So, I went back to the giant Venus flytrap, hoping my worms hadn't been discarded because I was forced to rejoin. Sadly, they were discarded, but at least I knew some of the locations. So I got worm 1, got worm 2, got worm 3, got stuck, looked around, drowned to death, found worm 4, found worm 5, and returned to spawn. After trying to use the key to unlock the doors at the little houses, despite the game literally telling me I had to use it at the ship, I went back on the ship, used 3% of my brain power, I went into the door on the ship, saw an open chest, and got my 7th egg, the Kregan. And just like that, I needed one more egg to finish this world and move on to the next. I ventured for a bit. I found worm number 6, meaning I had to find one more worm, and after just a little more venturing near the giant Venus flytrap, I found number 7. So I returned to the giant Venus flytrap.
Wow! You brought back all of the worms! Thank you! Here is a prize as thanks!
Just like that, I had finished World 1. So I joined Deadshell Desert, and so I joined Deadshell Desert, which spoiled. One second. Ow, 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 ow.
Hey guys, I am SirStephen, the owner of the YouTube channel SirStephen. This is Deadshell Desert. I joined Deadshell Desert, which, spoiler alert, was the easiest map for me. The first thing I tried doing was going into these buildings. All of my attempts sadly failed. I spent the next minute wandering around like a lost child. Then I saw an NPC. After taking a screenshot for some reason, I walked up to her and we spoke.
Hey, I'm trying to uncover the next biggest dinosaur discovery. Want to help me?
Of course, how can I help?
The only problem is, I don't quite have the right equipment. Can you go get a pickaxe for me?
I didn't have the option to say yes or no to her, so I was assigned a quest without my consent. That quest being to find a pickaxe that was, quote, near the cave system. I had no idea where that was, but it was pretty easy to find after jumping over this sandhill and seeing some coal ore next to a piece of railroad. I went into the cave, I passed the minecart and saw somebody, so I spoke to him.
Yo, careful in the mines. I know there's a lot of dynamite around.
Why is there dynamite in there?
Hey, it gets boring down here. We feared explosions to get to the geode faster.
I like your way of thinking. I immediately walked away from the weird fellow and saw a rack with 4 pickaxes. I took one and brought it back to Jane, wondering what she's going to use it for.
Thanks for the pickaxe. Looks like I was right and found a big fossil discovery. Here's some of what I found as a reward.
Wow, an egg. Turns out that all I had to do was show Jane a pickaxe for her to dig up a literal fossil of a dinosaur. Anyways, I needed 5 more eggs to complete the world. 5 more eggs quickly turned into 4 more eggs when I almost immediately found a Segtis laying around by some cacti. After looking around a little bit more by this area that had some mine tracks, there was a tumbleweed that for some reason wanted to run away from me. It wasn't just an ordinary tumbleweed, however, it was a tumbleweed egg. The second egg in this world that was basically free. Just like that, I needed 3 more eggs to complete Deadshell Desert. After finding the tumbleweed egg, I made my way back to the mine just so that I could take a quick look around again. Last time I was here, I spoke to Fletcher, got a pickaxe and gave it to Jane. So I didn't have much time to do literally anything else. Anyway, there were 3 little mining pods. Common sense would tell you that you'd have to dig to the bottom for a prize, but as we've previously established, common sense is a characteristic I do not possess. With that being said, I clicked a red one and died immediately. This ended up being a smart decision as I got an egg called the powder keg after literally killing myself unintentionally despite it looking intentional. Anyway, I went back to the mine. I started digging down the light gray bricks, and very surprisingly on my second try doing this, I was able to mine directly down, reaching the bottom very easily. In retrospect, this is a pretty difficult minigame that involves luck. I would know because when I was recording the little tutorial for Avoid Droid, it was really hard getting to it. Anyway, I got my second to last egg in Deadshell Desert. I exited and looked around. I found an NPC named Sheriff Deadwood who looked mighty handsome, so we spoke.
Hey kid, there's been a rogue egg on the loose lately. You look tough enough to help me out. Would you like to help?
I'm up for the challenge.
Now, as the sheriff of this town, I keep up with a lot of crime. However, I need you to help me out a little by capturing this rogue egg.
I'm ready to capture it.
Great stuff. First, you would need to find the wanted poster. I heard of it around the camp area.
Camping area, huh? I already knew exactly what area he was talking about because earlier I was roaming around it and noticed the little wanted poster. So I went to the camping area. After thinking you had to touch the poster to initiate the challenge, I used 3% of my brain power again and clicked it. It told me to go to the quote graveyard area, which is also a place I explored a while ago, so I went there. I saw the rogue egg and tried sneaking up on it since it was looking away. It activated its sixth sense and immediately turned around shooting at me. After doing very impressive maneuvers to dodge the gunfire, I caught the egg. I had gotten the good, the bad, and the eggly egg, and with it being caught, I had officially finished Deadshell Desert, meaning only 2 more maps had to be completed.
I joined Yolkshire Hills being greeted by 3 friends, so I knew this was going to be a fun one. I also loved medieval and castle themed things, so there's that to fuel my bias. Like the other maps, I stood still for a bit so my egg data could load. Aiden offered to play rock, paper, scissors with me, but after 30 seconds with only 1 egg loaded, I couldn't wait any longer. So I made my way to the castle. I met up with Aiden and I spoke to the NPC out in front.
The king is currently away. I am not sure when they will return.
Why does the king have rock, paper, scissors in his castle?
Do not question the king and his hobbies.
So Aiden wasn't wrong. There really was going to be a game of rock, paper, scissors. We both entered the castle and stepped on the plates ready to play. Each match had 3 games of rock, paper, scissors. After a few ties, I ended up beating Aiden 3-0. I was 2 wins off of getting the regal egg. Aiden then challenged me to a sword fight. Big mistake on his part, as I am a very highly talented and trained knight. I beat Aiden in the sword fight and got one of my favorite eggs in the entire egg hunt. The SirStephen egg. I mean, the egg in shining armor. Anyway, I watched some of the townsfolk fight, then ventured off to a nearby farm where I found a carrot egg. If you ask me, it's not really an egg, it's just a massive carrot. I then spoke to this purple-shirted fellow nearby.
It is me, Regalo.
Who?
Who? Why, I am the greatest egg painter in all of Yolkshire.
Can I get a painted egg?
Of course, but it will cost you some golden coins. If you have golden coins, go inside to my station.
Golden coins, huh? No idea how I get those, but I should definitely be on the lookout from now on. Anyway, I continued looking around despite not having my progress compass because of the game glitch. After a while, I asked Aiden for the admin egg, as it was at this point that I remembered the existence of said admin egg. To my surprise, I didn't only get the admin egg, but also got the contributor egg. I completely forgot that Aiden had worked on the egg hunt, so he was able to give away that egg too. I didn't get the eggs immediately as the site went down due to the large influx of players. However, I screenshotted the unsuccessful message and got my eggs shortly later. I walked back to the castle where there was a new challenger at the rock, paper, scissors arena. Being fearless, I accepted this challenge. He tried giving me free wins, but I told him to try as I wanted the full experience. I had a flawless 3-0 sweep against Boxed 113, having no ties and only wins. My rock, paper, scissors record stood at 6-0 as I was undefeated. Before we rematched, I spoke to somebody in the castle who had a bag of coins on his head.
We only exchange for bread here. Please come by if you get any.
Oh, bread. I definitely don't have any. So I stepped on the plate and the rematch was to begin. After a well-fought battle with Boxed 113 tying with me a few times, I, of course, came out on top as the champion. I played a total of 10 games of rock, paper, scissors. In that whole time frame, I only lost once, that one loss being to Boxed 113. But in the end, I didn't lose any matches, only a game. My 9-1 record will always be remembered as the best ever. Anyway, I got the regal egg of crowned yolks, so my journey on this amazing map was coming to a close. I explored for a bit and met with Cray, a farmer.
Hey there, traveler. Do you have a moment to help me?
What do you need?
My house needs some new furniture. Could you go to the village blacksmith to collect some nails for me?
I'll head there now.
Thanks for the help. I'll have a reward waiting for you.
Alright, cool. I needed to find an anvil to give Cray some nails, so that's exactly what I did. I went to the village, found an anvil, found Cray's nails, and returned to Cray.
Hey, you got the nails. As my thanks, here's some wheat. You can convert it to bread at the windmill.
Wheat, huh? Alright, cool. He told me to go to the windmill, which despite my free-thinking status, I still did. I walked inside the windmill, touched this brown pole, pause, and made some bread. All I had to do now was return to the castle merchant to sell it. So I went there, and me and the castle merchant spoke again.
I see you've got some bread. Would you like to exchange it for some gold coins?
Of course, here you go.
Thank you. Here is 5 golden coins.
5 golden coins, nice. Now I just had to meet back with Regalo? Hopefully I said that right, and we'll see what happens there. I returned to Regalo. He told me that if I had golden coins, I could use it in the station, so I went in. I touched his little egg painting stand, rewarding me with the Paisanka egg. I was 1 egg closer to finishing the world. I wandered around for a bit more and noticed that this well led to an underground room. After the water just disappeared and went underground, there was a little parkour area. I was rushing a little as I did, and my game crashed. Awesome. I rejoined and returned to the mysterious well, dodging the water, jumping around, and going up to the weird cavern area. This time, without crashing, I climbed the treacherous rocks and made it to the top where the egg of hard-boiled falls waited for me. I picked it up, meaning I only needed 1 more egg to complete Yolkshire Hills. I had a checklist on my second monitor, so I knew what it looked like, but I had no idea how to get it. I let the chat know that I needed the goo monster egg. Yes, I was referring to the plague, and Aiden told me that he had it. I asked him how to get it because I didn't know where to go or what to do, but he was too distracted in his rock, paper, scissors competition, so he didn't have time to respond. Either that or he just really hates me. Hopefully it's the first option. To save space because the recording was so long, I paused my recording after wandering for just a few minutes. Then I ran into a player named the Oki. Turns out he was infected with the plague, and touching him granted me the plague as well as the plague. Get it? Anyway, that was the final egg I needed, so by getting that, Yolkshire Hills was in the books. On to the next one. I was now set to complete the initial 4 egg hunt worlds as I was now on the final world, the Arctic Research Complex. This dang map. Easily the hardest map, but I'll get into more detail later in the video. Anyway, I joined and I saw Blocky. Pretty cool because later I found out he was streaming and I, of course, since I was recording, had no idea he was doing so. I wandered around to the facility trying to activate computers and trying to go through doors because I had no idea what I had to do. I could already tell that this map was absolutely massive, so there's that. I ended up wandering into a very cold looking icy room that had a very cool floor effect. If you hate obbies, look away because this entire room is literally an obby. Anyway, I saw a cool blueprint and saw illusionism for the first time in forever, so we spoke for a bit. This is where I actually got the contributor eggs, so it didn't need to be granted to me after all. It really didn't come as a surprise that illusionism contributed to the event, being the director in Paradox and arguably being one of the best builders on the platform. Anyway, he died, and I began doing the obby myself without my long-lost buddy. While doing the obby, I found a little penguin egg just relaxing up here, so I picked him up. Haha, cool, first egg, shouldn't be too hard getting the others if that one was that easy, right? Anyway, I made it to the top of the obby and saw Dr. Bones. Very cool relic man, if you remember those. So he and I spoke.
Hey there, you look like you should not be here. Want to help me with an experiment?
Sounds fun enough.
You will need to do a series of rooms in this puzzle. Your target is to get your number to be equal to 0 by walking on the increasing and decreasing paths.
Doesn't sound too complicated.
Great! Step right in. By agreeing to this experiment, you agree that we are not responsible for any casualties. Good luck!
Wait, casualties? What the heck? Whatever. Alright, so plus minus 1. Got it. Well, I didn't get it because I wasn't paying attention, but I pretty easily realized that you had to end with like 0, so that's fine. The first one was obviously easy, and the second one was obviously also easy. Third one was just as easy, but it looked a little difficult despite it not being too hard. Level 4 is where the counter disappears, but I didn't really notice it. I kinda just stepped on a bunch of bricks and got lucky, so go me. The 5th level was just crazy. It was definitely the hardest level out of all of them. It took me almost 6 minutes to pass it because I kept trying to rush it. In retrospect, this obviously wasn't the best idea, but we've established many times that I am not that intelligent. Anyway, I had finally completed that one, so I was on to level 6, which wasn't too hard considering after the last one, I felt like a seasoned pro. Just kidding, I tried rushing it again, lost once, but I ended up getting it the next try, so we're good. But before we move on, I just want to point out how legitimately stupid I am. Like, I don't even know how it's possible for me to be this stupid. If I freeze frame this, you can very clearly see that all I had to do was walk in a straight line and I would have completed this level. It was legitimately that easy. But in the moment, and with all the mental math, I obviously expected it to be way more complicated, so being the idiot I am, I just made it harder on myself. Anyway, I completed it alongside another poor soul, and we were both rewarded with the holo egg. The hollow egg, however you want to say it. So far, the hardest egg, at least in my opinion, but that's just so far. I exited Dr. Bones' room and jumped off in an attempt to die and realized that I couldn't just respawn myself at the spawn as the game would respawn me somewhere in the obby room. So I just rejoined. Very, very sadly, I didn't rejoin my previous lobby with Illusionism and Blocky and the other cool people that were there, but I did join and recognize someone in the next, so it's kinda whatever. I wandered around the facility and found this very confusing room with 4 colored bricks with text on it. Ah yes, capo. Struggling to understand what any of these meant, I went inside of this extremely cool looking room and tried using the keyboard that was inside of it. Then I realized that I could only interact with this massive display of egg stuff with 6 monitors. Pressing Q and E like it instructed me to do, adjusted these things on the massive TV in the room that spelled out P. Anyway, after that, I correctly adjusted the power to be on the line, meaning I just had to adjust 2 more, of these things. I followed the green wire and went on the bridge, however the gap that was between the bridge was way too large to jump across, especially with stable FPS and client optimizations. However, I realized I could do an obby to jump onto these cool areas. So I jumped on some boxes and pipes and made it to another room with goo in it. I ignored it and jumped in this freezer container or whatever. My health was slowly depleting, so I had to do whatever I was supposed to do in here fast. All I had to do was walk across this bridge and enter this room that I almost missed. I just barely escaped because, like I said, I missed it at first, but I got out of the freezer room and was teleported to safety. I was now in this weird area that had another massive computer that I had to use to adjust something. I didn't know where I was supposed to look to know the coolant module thing was at, so I just spammed Q and E until I got it. So I just needed to adjust one more thing to get the egg according to common sense. I didn't know how to get out, so I just jumped in the very cold water to respawn myself in the acidic goo area. I did some parkour to get out of it, and I returned to the main room. I just needed to turn up the acid level, but I had no idea where to go. However, after looking around, I realized there were pipes and wires I had to jump on to get around the bridge gap, so I began using my amazing parkour skills to do just that. Just kidding, I died twice. Actually, as they say, third time's a charm, and I managed to safely get across the bridge gap and enter this room with another massive computer in it. I spammed just a little bit of keys and got the acid levels normal again, so I killed myself, respawned closer to the room, then realized the door that was previously closed opened just for me. Inside of it was a cool icy egg called Extreme Temperatures. Didn't know what to do next, so I did what I do best. I wandered around like an NPC in a video game. I ended up finding a room with a massive battery-like cage that had an egg inside of it. There were 3 different reactor rooms that I had to do. Now these were very, very hard. I'm like 80% sure that 2 of the rooms had to get nerfed because of the difficulty, but don't fact check me, I could be wrong. Anyway, I entered reactor room A where Metaton was. The objective here was pretty clear, reach the end without getting hit by the orange death wall thing. I pretty easily completed this room in about 40 seconds because, well, it's easy. I got to the end and picked up a battery. I just needed 2 more to finish this area. That wasn't so bad, surely the other ones can't be too difficult. I went into the next reactor area. I had to fit between these tight lasers. Afterwards, I had to jump through these lasers, go on a disappearing pad, go through more tight lasers, then jump across this massive gap. I didn't think it was possible at first, but I ended up doing it. After that, there was more laser fitting. This time, they were more tight and way more annoying. I died at the last part a few times, but finally got past it. Luck was definitely on my side as I literally jumped in this lava pit and jumped on the lava, but anyway, I got to the end and I received the second battery. I just needed 1 more battery to finish this hell of an area. Reactor Room C. I hate this area with a passion. It required timing, skill, and patience. I nearly got it on the first try before I got stuck on the platform. I failed again and again and again and again and again, just slowly losing my mind after every death. I'm pretty sure I died like 20 times until I found a little method that I could use to complete this area. That method was called being patient. Simple. I still died several times, but I finally managed to complete this extremely annoying reactor room. I got the final battery and killed myself to respawn at the front. Just kidding, the game had to let you know how much it hates you, so you had to do the obby again. Man, I very luckily completed it again fast, walked out, and got the power egg. Was it worth it? Absolutely not even close. Just rewatching my gameplay makes me sad and makes me remember the pain I had to go through for this stupid part. Anyway, I needed 2 more eggs, one of which was unobtainable at the time, but that didn't matter. I just needed the egg of scrambled signals. I went through the whole Arctic research complex multiple times to try and find it. I thought I found out where I was supposed to go, but it turns out this was the Robo-Yolk, also known as the unobtainable eggs, location. I didn't know this at the time, so a lot of time was wasted here. After realizing it was impossible to advance in that area, I continued looking around for what I was supposed to do. I remembered that in Dr. Bones' office, there was a doorway that let you out of his room to go on the roof, so that's where I went next. I redid the obby, saw Dr. Bones, and exited his little lab. There was a ladder outside, so I thought for sure I found the final egg. I was met with absolute disappointment though, as there was literally nothing up here. Even with the ladder, this place was a disappointment. I guess it's just a place for you to admire the view. I fell off the tower dying and respawned. When I left his room, I jumped down, but I noticed another area near Dr. Bones' office. I did 3 little jumps and made it to the mysterious room. Inside the room was an elevator. This elevator took me upstairs to another room that led to an outdoor area. This outdoor area had a radio tower. Surely this was it. I jumped on some of the landscape, got on the radio tower, and did a pretty easy but also pretty difficult and annoying obby thing to get to the top. Once I made it to the top, it was there, the final egg I needed, the egg of scrambled signals. Looked like they had trouble naming this one because both texts had different messages, but what's important is I finished this map after 46 minutes of pain. Now that we finished all 4 base worlds, I want to jump into Egg Hunt map difficulty rankings. Out of the 4 main maps, I think the easiest map is definitely Deadshell Desert. Deadshell Desert for me was extremely easy. The eggs weren't too difficult to get. If you caught my message earlier, I said that I literally finished the world in just 6 minutes, but basically 7 minutes because we'll round it up. The second fastest I completed a map was literally 23 minutes, which is a 16-minute increase. Deadshell Desert had 2 eggs that were no objective eggs, meaning you literally didn't have to do anything to get them, while every other map had 1. The eggs that did have objectives were fairly easy. In retrospect, I think that the geode would be the hardest egg on this world as it requires some luck. I got lucky and got it on my first try though, which despite that, I don't think it affects my rankings truly. The good, the bad, and the eggly might have been difficult for like 3 total people, but it just made you jump around a bit. Jane's quest was Jane's quest, no difficulty involved, and that's it. Those are all the eggs. On the difficulty scale, I give this game a solid 1 out of 10 only because of the geode and the good, the bad, and the eggly. The map was also small, making it extremely easy to navigate. The second easiest map, in my opinion, has to be Scrambled Isles, meaning you probably already know what my next 2 rankings are going to be. Scrambled Isles was pretty hard, but only because of a few eggs. The cannon egg, if you don't know what you're doing, and the Aegis Carnivora. The cannon egg is pretty difficult because you only have 3 minutes to fill up 8 cannons, and it requires you to have at least 50 IQ to conserve your sprint, which is pretty rare for Brick Hill players, including myself. The Aegis Carnivora, also known as the egg that makes you find worms, is in my opinion harder. After day 1 or day 2 of the egg hunt, there were already multiple videos out on the worm locations, but I'm grading it on how it was on my first time playthrough. Having to find all 6 worms across the map, which by the way was pretty big, was very difficult. It's definitely not one of those quests that you could have done right after receiving it. It was more of a quest that you receive and you do as you play the game normally. Eggs like the paired egg and the molten egg were also easy. The paired egg required you to open your eyes and look for a massive red ball of a parrot and bring it back to the pirate who assigned the quest. The molten egg just required you to complete a very easy obby that I think literally anyone can do. Let's just ignore the fact that I died on it like 3 or 2 times. And finally, the pine egg pull. Pine egg pull? I don't know. This egg was the mandatory free egg that you find on the floor and get by doing nothing, so there's that. Scrambled Isles looked really nice, but that doesn't affect its difficulty rating, which is going to be a 3 out of 10. On to the third easiest map, or second hardest map, however you want to look at it, Yolkshire Hills. Despite being the map I completed the second fastest, I think Yolkshire Hills is definitely the second hardest. What really drags the difficulty up for this map is the Regal egg, or the rock paper scissors egg, the egg in shining armor for reasons we'll talk about, and the Pysanka egg. Let's start off with the rock paper scissors egg. Now this would be a fairly easy egg if you just had to win 1 rock paper scissors match, but no, you had to win 3. Assuming you win 3 matches and lose/tie 0, that'd mean you have to play up to 12 games. That'd be pretty rare though, as that would mean you won every game. Anyway, what also makes this egg difficult to get is that the people who already want it can't help you and just can't give you free wins. Once you win 3 matches, you cannot play again. So I think it'd just be easier to find a friend who doesn't play Brick Hill enough to care, or just make an alt account to give you free wins. That's probably your best bet. The next egg is the egg in shining armor, which is just basically the same reason as the regular egg. Once somebody wins, they can't play the minigame again to give you a free win. Once again, I recommend you get a friend or make an alt account if nobody's playing the game, which is pretty to be expected as time goes by and more people complete the world. The final egg I listed was the Pysanka egg. It's not really that hard, it just requires you to do quite a few objectives. Similarly to the worm egg, you could just search up a video and find out how to do it, but also similarly to the worm egg, the difficulties for these games are being ranked based on my first time playthrough and not knowing anything about the game. The final 3 eggs are the carrot egg, the plague, and that one cracked egg. The plague can be pretty difficult to get nowadays as less people play the game, but odds are if you join Yolkshire Hills and somebody else is in it, they have the plague and all you have to do is touch them. The only thing hard about that cracked egg is finding the obby if you don't know where to look, because not many people would think to jump in a well. As for the carrot egg, it's also just a free, no objective egg. The map is pretty big too, with some extra buildings that have no relevance to egg objectives, so it can be a little confusing, and that's about it. For all of those reasons, I grade this game a spooky 6 out of 10, and that's really getting carried by the rock, paper, scissors egg. The hardest world. If you play the egg hunt, this should come as no surprise whatsoever. The hardest world in the egg hunt, without a doubt, is the Arctic Research Complex, at least the pre-nerf version. I mean, the like to dislike ratio should speak for itself. Every single egg in this world, except the hatched penguin egg and the robo yolk, because it's unobtainable at the time of recording this, is difficult to get. The penguin egg was your mandatory free egg, however. Anyway, let's start off with the holo egg. For the first few levels, it seems like this egg will be easy to get. Then, the number counter disappears. If you have a racing mind that can't focus like me, it might be ADHD, but I have no idea, then this will be hell for you. I'm gonna mention this for the final time. You can search up a video and easily finish this, but this was of course my first time playthrough. Anyway, when I think back on this section, I realize that it really isn't that hard. One of the main things that messed me up was not knowing that you could step on a plate you previously stepped on and it won't affect your score. That's what really messed me up. Anyway, you have to go through a whole 6 levels of this and your brain will definitely get confused on at least one of them. But for the next egg, I'm going to talk about extreme temperatures. For the 3 computer tasks that you have to do, the first one is a freebie, but the other ones have objectives. The objective, where you have to go through a freezing pot of ice or whatever, it's pretty easy. What's difficult is guessing how much you have to adjust the power. I don't know for sure if there's a proper way to adjust the sliders, but I don't know. What I did, and what I've been told most people did, was just spam Q and or E until they got the confirmation message. The second objective just required some jumping to do a pretty simple obby, then the usual Q and E spamming. Then, boom, you get extreme temperatures. The next egg is the egg of scrambled signals. In retrospect, it's pretty hard to miss the area that it's at, but it's also pretty easy to miss it because to get there, you need to pass Dr. Bones' office. Any sane person would enter his office since there's actually an NPC in there that gives you an objective. But if you miss it, good luck finding it again because you're probably going to be like most people and just walk through the entire map to try and find it. After you do find the room, though, the obby is pretty easy but also annoying because you're definitely going to hit your head a few times like me. Anyway, the next egg is the power egg. The egg that literally made the reactor rooms that's required to do the egg get nerfed. I'm going to be talking about the pre-patch reactor rooms, so if it's easy now, whatever. But only 1 out of the 3 reactor rooms are easy. The other ones require timing and just so much patience. Patience is definitely something you start losing after you've been in this game for so long, like me. After so many deaths in this part, you can get the egg and it's definitely rewarding, I'll give you that. Anyway, those are all the eggs. The objectives for the eggs isn't the only thing that makes this world so hard, it's the insane size of this whole map. Not only is the main room that you spawn in massive, literally every single room that you can get into, especially the obby room, is just insanely big. And because of these factors, this map gets the easiest ranking I'll give a map ever, a perfect 10 out of 10. Very, very hard. Definitely don't recommend if you get mad easily. For the final part of this video, I just want to have a little fun and do a little bit of egg superlatives. The first egg superlative I have is the hardest egg. Out of the 2 base 23 eggs, not including the admin egg, contributor egg, or robo yolk in the first 4 worlds, I think that the hardest egg to get right now is the regal egg of crowned yolks. Now, the keyword here is right now. As I've explained earlier, it's pretty hard to get in a server where somebody doesn't already have this egg, so you'll probably just have to make an alt. If you're getting it the legit way, however, good luck finding somebody and good luck beating them in 3 matches. If we're talking about the hardest egg at the time of recording this video, however, I would most definitely say the power egg. There's just something about those 3 reactor rooms that make it super hard. One of the reactor rooms was basically a freebie, but the other 2 were pretty dang hard. If you played this map when it first came out, you would 100% know what I mean. Also, I'm just going to skim over the easiest egg, Superlative, really quickly. There isn't really an easiest egg, but rather there are 3 easiest eggs. These eggs being the pine egg pull, the carrot egg, the cactus egg, and the hatched penguin egg. All 4 of these eggs literally don't require an objective to do them. They're just free eggs that lay around the map ready to be picked up. The only reason I'm not including the tumbleweed egg is because it runs away from you, and the other 4 eggs have a 0% difficulty rating to get them, and the tumbleweed egg just has an insane 0.00002 difficulty rating. The only reason it doesn't have a 0.00001% difficulty rating is because sometimes it lags and doesn't give you the egg for some reason. That's it. The next superlative is the best looking egg. Now, my bias towards medieval themed things really make me want to go with the egg in shining armor, but if I had to be 100% honest, I think the best egg in this entire egg hunt, with a total of 30 eggs that we know the appearance of, is the good, the bad, and the eggly. Now, I fully expect this to be controversial purely because of the fact that it's just a normal white egg with a bandana, a hat, and some guns, but I don't know what it is about this egg, it just looks cool to me. I think a really close second would be the holo egg because it's pretty simplistic and that's about it. We just all have to remember that this is my opinion and everybody has varying opinions, so if my egg isn't your favorite egg, I'm sorry. The final opinion-based superlative that I'm going to share with you guys is the best objective egg. Out of the 23 base eggs, I think the egg with the best objective is the Pysanka egg. It requires you to do a bunch of things that actually add up and make sense, so I feel like some people can agree with me here when I say the Pysanka egg has the best objective. And that's it for the superlatives. And with my superlatives, which are completely opinion based, I am going to end this video. Before I end, I'm going to thank everybody that helped me out with this video, list off what they did, and give them the credit they deserved. First off, Game Webcam, who voiced the entire Deadshell Desert part for my little skit. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel, Game Webcam. He makes really cool videos, and I definitely recommend you go check out his Brick Hill videos. Next off, I want to thank all 13 people who voiced an NPC in this project. The order I credit them is just based on when they appear. First, FSFK or Trevo for Scally the Pirate. Subscribe to his YouTube channel at youtube.com/FSFKBH. He made some bangers back then and also has a really cool Egg Hunt theme song visualizer if you want to see it. Then Rebecca or Rebecca, however you know them. For credit, they just told me to link Blahaj, so go buy Blahaj now. Then we got Claire Animates, who voiced Giant Venus Flytrap. She makes pretty cool animations and makes really cool drawings, so go check out her YouTube channel at youtube.com/ClaireAnimates with 2 S's at the end. Then Mime for Richie the Pirate. He owns the YouTube channel Brickopedia, which has some pretty cool videos, so go check it out at youtube.com/Brickopedia1. For the final Scrambled Isles NPC, we have Lucas J, who voiced Scrab the Pirate. Not only does he make cool videos, he also makes songs. Go check out his channel at youtube.com/LucasJLego. Now into Deadshell Desert. The first NPC, Jane the Fossil Investigator, was voiced by Peanut. The only credit she wanted was her Brick Hill account, so go send her a nice message. Her username is Peanut and her user ID is 49. Next we got Bricklander, who voiced Fletcher the Miner. Go check out their super cool website at bricklander.neocities.org as well as their YouTube channel, which is Eevee. After him we got Kenji, who voiced Sheriff Deadwood. They don't want credit either, but they did want me to tell you guys that he is always watching. Now into Yolkshire Hills. The first NPC, the Royal Knight, was voiced by Terribilis Nimbus. He makes pretty cool videos, so go check out his channel, which is of course Nimbus. After him, we have Regalo, the world-famous artist who was voiced by Privacy Please. Like Peanut, he didn't really care too much for credit, so go send him a nice message. His account is Privacy Please and his user ID is 286230. Next, we have MXQ who voiced Cray the Farmer. Super nice person who also has a Discord server for some funny emotes. Join it at discord.gg/stzkjndce6. Next, we have Crazy Melon who voiced the Castle Merchant. Go check out our YouTube channel, Crazy Melon. Spelling's on the screen if you need help. And for the final NPC, we had the man himself, Blocky, voiced Dr. Bones. If you're into live streams, specifically Brick Hill live streams, go check out his channel at youtube.com/epicblocky. And just like that, I've listed off everybody who helped with the project. I want to thank all 14 of these people so much for their help and their time. I appreciate every single one of you guys, so much so that I didn't just make an end screen with your credit. I actually wanted to read off everybody because of how much I appreciate you guys. Anyways, everybody who helped and who's in my Discord server now has a new role that lets them see video leaks for the rest of their time in the server. So, thank you all. And with credit out of the way, I want to thank you, the viewer, for watching this extremely long videos. It took countless hours and hours getting gameplay, writing the scripts, reading the scripts, getting people to voice act, and editing. I'm really proud of this project as it's definitely my biggest project yet. And if you're hearing this, thank you because it means you stuck to the end. And with that being said, I'm finally going to end this long video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications for part 2 of this video, which will include the Egg Hunt ARG, as well as the 5th world, the Aftermath, as well as some interviews. But I want to give one final thank you to everybody who helped me with this project and everybody who watched. And with that being said, look out for the part 2 of this video, and peace out everybody.